Hey guys, welcome to Friday Night Flights. I'm your host Lazerbolt. We are in our trusty Twin Barons tonight. We are going to be making our way south. We're on the coast of Brazil right now. We're going to be visiting a little town called Valente. So please join us. That'll be a good time. We are probably going to only go about 5,000 feet. There's no mountains in the way or anything like that. As always, if anybody would like to join us, please do. We're easy to fly with. We fly pretty casual. All the information you're going to need is in the description of the video of the airports we're going to and the speeds that we're going to be covering. And a good way to get the game is through GamePass. You can get the game for free on there, and it's a good value. It's at least a good way to check it out. See if it's your cup of tea. But we are going to be taking off in about 2.5 minutes. Please enjoy the flight.
Left-hand turnout.
Yeah, I believe we are going to be taking a left-hand turn out of here and getting back on the pink line. We do have a point of interest coming up. I think it's a lighthouse of some kind. We're going to spend a lap checking out the lighthouse. Yeah, I see the lighthouse has the name Verde in the title, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that like Spanish for green? So I wonder if it's a green lighthouse. We'll find out when we get there. So did you guys notice there was a USA update available today? You can go into the marketplace and grab that for free. It's not going to affect our flight tonight, but it's always nice when they're working on stuff.
Yeah, I installed it actually I think a couple days ago.
Me too. By the way, it's also in 2020, they said.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. They usually do it for both. If it's a world update or anything like that, the data is pretty much the same. It transfers back and forth between the two. Always wondered on an airport like this where the runway is so close to the road and it's running the same direction. I always wonder if, like at night or something, if people land on the road instead of the runway by accident. That's got to have happened before, right?
Well, we had a guy land on the taxiway at an airport before, so yeah, I can imagine
Yeah.
it could.
Hell, I think Harrison Ford did that.
That's who. Yeah, that's exactly who I was referring to.
I'm sure he wasn't alone either. I mean, he's probably not the only one to ever do that.
Oh, I'm sure he's not.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to be taking off in 1 minute. Like I said, we're taking a left-hand turn out of here. We will be climbing to 5,000 feet. We don't need to climb quite to 5,000 feet right in the beginning. We're only about 19 miles away from that lighthouse we're going to check out. So we're going to keep it relatively low and follow the pink line, and that will take us to the Verde Lighthouse. The Ponta Verde Lighthouse. Like I said, I think Verde is green for Spanish for green. We'll see.
I guess Ponte is point.
I see we got a couple people checking in on the stream. Hey everybody, we got JMB, we got Captain Hopper. Me and Captain Hopper have been working on a little project over the last few days. I can't wait to unveil that to the world. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, greetings guys, enjoy the show. If any of you guys felt like joining us, you know how to do it. Just hop in, say hi. And we don't even mind. We get pilots all the time that want to fly with us, but they don't want to be on Discord. And that's no big deal. Just hop in, meet us at the airport. And yeah, you don't even need to be part of the stream, but you will be in the game. So that's good enough for us. All right, gentlemen, it is 10 after the hour. Let's go ahead and take off out of here. Let's keep it below 3,000 before we get to that Verde Lighthouse. A little bit of a left-hand turn out of here. So Lazerbolt is spooling up and rolling. Well, this bird just wants to fly all on its own. I didn't even have to pull back.
I had some kind of big animal with horns on it in the runway.
Really? I haven't seen any animals in the wild in quite a while. I keep checking my settings to make sure that I've got everything set as good as possible. But I haven't seen an animal at an airport in a long time. I'll still see them when I'm flying around Africa and stuff like that. And I already see the point of interest marker for that lighthouse, so that makes it real easy. So I'm going to be trying to maintain right around 150 knots for this flight. I'm going a bit over speed right now, but I'm going to bring it down to 150. Try to maintain right around 2,300 altitude. Say, Captain Hopper, last night that was a lot of fun playing that marble race. I hope he does more of that in the future. Everybody having a good week so far? It's Friday, so hopefully something good happened.
Looking forward to it when it does.
I've been quite busy working on that project that I'm trying to get done before next month. But yeah, other than that, everything's been just fine. I'm making good strides on it. So I wonder what happened to Longhorn Ram tonight. I don't remember him saying last week he's not going to make it, but hey, every once in a while people don't make it.
Yeah, he didn't say. Maybe he'll pop in.
So Coast, what were you saying earlier about that that Blackbird Simulations? Those guys are the same people from Milviz, because
No,
they
they describe themselves as Blackbird Simulations / Milviz. It's they're either probably maybe a cooperative development agreement or something like that. That's what it looks like.
Oh, right on. So you guys might see there's 2 point of interest markers. We're heading to the left one, and then as we turn, it'll take us directly over that right one. So we're going to be checking them both out. Yeah, I'm excited about that, that they're making that C-130, because Milviz, I've heard that name. I don't know about Blackbird, but I've heard Milviz for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
They tend to make good stuff, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'd have to dig deeper and see what the relationship is. I haven't done that.
Alright guys, we're 9 miles out from the lighthouse. Once we get there, let's do our customary left-hand circuit around it. And then as we come out of the circuit, we will be pointing directly at that other point of interest. Like I said, for tonight's flight, we're going to try to maintain right around 150 knots indicated. Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks, but I do kind of miss this bird. It's simple and effective, and it has a good speed, and it has a great turn radius, and yeah, I like it, this Twin Baron. Nothing seems to screw up on it, you know what I mean?
Isn't that true?
The NFL draft is in full swing. I've been trying to keep up with that a little bit. You know, honestly, I'm only interested in what my Lions are doing, and they don't have too many picks this year. They traded most of them away. Like, we had one pick yesterday. We picked a defensive tackle, and they get one pick today. So we'll see what it is. I'm not even 100% sure what my Lions are looking for, but I hope we shore up our defense a little bit. I heard we're looking for a safety. We need like a really fast outside corner guy, just to shore up stop them touchdowns, you know, stop those long bombs. We have one of those defenses that will be stopping people all day long, stop them after stop them after stop them, and then bang, they hit a 40-yarder on us, you know what I mean? And that just changes the whole game. Doesn't matter how many times you stop them if they keep getting 40-yarders. Certainly a nice little coastal town here. I'm sure they get their fair share of
just
tourists.
Say that. Looks like a pretty big one.
Yeah. Yeah, some big buildings and everything. I'm sure lots of these are hotels and stuff. I bet you those beaches are just hopping down there right now. Alright, this lighthouse is right out in the middle of the water. Like I said, let's do one left-hand circuit around here and check it out real good and see what it's all about. Almost looks like it's out in the middle of a barge or something. I doubt that. It's probably just a little island. Well, very nice. Must be lonely out here, whoever has to tend to this place. Certainly not green. It's more of a stereotypical red stripe kind of a pole. But yeah, it looks nice.
Ooh, almost had to stall.
Yeah, I think I got the stall warning for just a second and I pulled out of it. I almost wonder, like, if this is called Point Green Lighthouse, if this actually used to be part of the land not long ago, you know what I mean? And then it all kind of flooded, except for the very tip. Okay, I bet you this next point of interest is going to be a stadium, especially since it's called Estadio del Pele. Right on. Many of the stadiums we've seen have been pretty nice. And many of them have looked exactly the same. Hey, page turners, they were not. Greetings, buddy. It's good to see you join us on a Friday night. Happy to have you along. That's our buddy Brennan Mystical Marr. Yeah, he has a nice podcast called Page Turners They Were Not, which it's fantastic. Lots of nerdy stuff, lots of things I like, Star Wars and Dune and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And yeah, the guy certainly knows what he's talking about. He has a good spin on stuff. So anybody want to bet that this is a soccer stadium?
Nope, not now. I'm right over top of it.
Oh, you can see it. Okay, yeah.
That's well modeled, though. Looks good.
Yeah, let's do a little left-hand circuit around here, and then we'll get back on that pink line. Like I say, for our cruising altitude, we're going to go up to 5,000 and maintain 150 knots. Oh yeah, there's a nice-looking place, isn't it? Looks like it holds quite a few people too.
Yeah, it's big.
I like how some of them actually have jumbotrons on the inside, and the jumbotron works. They're like showing different pictures and stuff. It's like it's animated. It's pretty impressive. Alrighty, after we do a little circuit here around this stadium, let's go ahead and get back on track. We're going to be heading generally west, a little bit southwest, but mostly west, and that'll get us to our next airport. We're going to be leaving the coast for a minute. Yeah, certainly a nice looking city. Once again, it would be helpful if they actually told us on the map what city this is. I mean, it gives us all the airport information, which is nice, but I mean, I don't know my geography well enough to know what the hell city this is, and it's clearly a big one.
Yeah, I wonder if, oh shoot, what's that other map that they have?
Well, we do have that add-on, that little nav map that usually has all the information.
That's what I meant.
I should
If you
have
had
that
that
open.
open.
I should have that open at all times, but I just don't. Because there is some good information on that. Plus, it follows you in the game and everything too. That's pretty handy.
Right, yeah. I used to run that all the time, but I haven't lately, so.
All right, let's get back on track here. Like I said, let's climb these birds up to about 5,000 feet. I need to slow down just a little. This is quite a difference from last week when we were in the heart of the Amazon. So I've been really enjoying the new season of Andor. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Star Wars show Andor. It's on Disney Plus. But they just had the second season start, and they dropped the first 3 episodes, and it is an amazing show. I understand it's roughly
have Disney Plus, but I've seen some previews of it. It looks good.
Yeah, it really is good. It's a little different for a Star Wars show, but it still feels Star Wars-y from through to through. But it's just a little, I don't know, a little more adult, a little more contemporary of a show. You know, it's not such a fairy tale. It's more of a like an intriguing political drama. You know, it's very good. I like it a lot. And this season is quite surprising so far. There's been a few scenes that just really, you know, made me laugh. made me. There's 2 characters in particular that, yeah, it's really something. I don't want to spoil anybody who might want to watch it. These 2 characters kind of hooked up, and it is fantastic. I love it.
almost thought I was going to have to get retrained on autopilot system here. Couldn't get it to lock on anything, and I forgot you have to push the nav button.
Yep. Yeah, I went and plugged my auto throttle panel, my autopilot panel back in just for this flight. And yeah, everything seems to be working just fine. It was causing me issues with the C-130, so I unplugged it and didn't use it anymore. But in this here trusty Baron, it's working like a charm. It's just, I like having it all right here in front of me in real life, because that way it doesn't matter what airplane you're in, because everything's located in a different place. Every time you hop in a different airplane, you have to search around. Okay, where's that nav button? There's 1,000 buttons. Where's the one that says nav? You know, where's the autopilot main? Where's the vertical speed? They're all different. But for me, it's always the same, because I've got my you know, cockpit going on here in my living room. And it's nice when it's working the way it's supposed to work, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know that the J model I told you was in the marketplace for 24. It does say it is for 2024.
The what that's in there?
The C-130J model.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It
I
is
might have to
for-
look at that. It is for 24. I might have to go
Yep.
and look at it and see if they say I already purchased it. You know what I mean?
Well, the one you've been flying is that Alaska International
that's-
Guard.
that's
So that's
right.
the H model. So the J model is the 6-blade, and it's
That's right. Well, you know what? That maybe
that one should work for you.
explains. That might explain why they released the J in the first place. They released it a little bit before 2024 came out, but it might have been that whole time they were working on it. You know, that's their attempt to make the H model compatible with 24. You know what I'm saying? And they had it ready early, so they released it in 2020 first.
You know, I can't find anywhere where it says Captain Sim, but it's the exact airplane. So it's the Flying Jenny. So
Right on. Well,
don't
you
know, they
already
must have
had
had
that, didn't you?
some kind of-
Didn't you buy that in 2020?
I did, but I bought it in 2020. But I'm having some issues with it too when I do shutdowns and the GTC don't start.
Right.
Same problems.
Do you know that,
But,
like, if you check it out in the 2024 marketplace, does it say you already own it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Huh. That makes
Nope.
me wonder if you have to
So,
buy it.
it's-
If you have to buy it new. And I guess depending
I
on the
thought
price
about
and
it.
everything, I probably will buy it, because you know how much I like that C-130. That's the best aircraft I've ever flown. So I will
it's-
probably buy it. But yeah,
It's $20. So
that's not too awful bad. Especially for a plane I'm likely to fly a lot.
yeah, if you don't want any issues, that would probably be for that type of you know, the old analog steam gauge, whatever
Right.
you call it, cockpit. That's probably the one to get.
Yeah, I might just buy that just for the making a video out of it. You know what I mean? That would be a great that'd be a great airplane to review and let people know whether it works better now than it used to. I'm curious myself. I'd like to see that video. Alright, let's check out our next destination here. Well, it looks like we're going to be coming straight in for Sierra November Alpha Lichty. The hell is L? How come I can't think of what L is? Lima. There
Lima.
we go.
Lima.
Sierra November Alpha Lima is. We're going to be going straight down the pipe when we get there.
I'll give you something to remember. Lima beans.
Yeah, you know what?
Lima beans.
Whenever I draw a blank, the first thing that comes to my head is food. You know, it'd be like, you know, snacks, nachos, alcohol, and lima beans.
Think of it this
You
way. Lima gives you more gas.
Oh boy.
Used to hate those when I was a kid, but now I love them.
Lima beans.
Lima beans, butter beans, any kind of beans.
Yeah, I guess I like my beans too.
They're good for you.
You know, the thing I've never really been crazy about is baked beans. I don't know, for some reason. Everybody seems to love baked beans, and yeah, they're
I
okay.
love them. I
They're
put
all
a little
right.
bacon in there, maybe once in a while a little jalapeno pepper. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Oh, get some bacon and jalapeno in there. I'm all about it. You know, but it's one of those things. If I have those things 3 times a year, I'm good. So anyway, our first stop is going to be, what is it called here? Arapiraca. Arapiraca. Well, when we get there, let's just call it runway 28. We will be landing on runway 28. It's a 3,000 foot of asphalt. That's not a huge runway, but it's plenty for these airplanes. Do be aware that we have an elevation of 830 feet, so it's going to be up there a little bit. But yeah, count on runway 28 when we get there.
Okay.
Hey, Steve's joining us in chat. How's it going, Steve? Good to see you. Happy Friday. Yeah, we're pretty much, I don't know, only about 15 minutes into it, but we're having a good old time so far. Everything's going just fine. I love this Twin Baron. It's simple and effective, and it works all the time. So, Steve, I was pretty impressed with all the graphics and just all-around producing that you've been doing on that bracket tournament type thing. It's a real blast to watch, and you're doing a great job on that, man. Keep it up. All right, gentlemen, we're 25 miles out from Arapiraca. And like I said, we're coming in pretty much straight down the pipe for runway 28, that is, 28. Yeah, Steve, I think everybody is having a real blast with that. It's going over quite well. And like I said, you're a heck of a producer on that kind of stuff. You can tell you're putting your work in.
Oops, didn't realize I was going so fast.
Yeah, you missed me. That's fine. So it was nice seeing Split Horse last week. We haven't seen him for years. I hope he makes it back one of these days.
Yeah, he was a pleasure to talk to.
Yeah, he's one of the old school pilots around here. He's been flying with us for at least 14 years. But that was probably 8 years ago. You know?
Wow, it's been that long since he's been.
Yeah, you know, it might not quite be that long, but it's been probably 5. Split Horse, were your ears ringing? I was just saying, we missed Split Horse. He was here last week, and it was a pleasure seeing him. How you doing, buddy?
Fine. I looked at the time and I said, it can't possibly be after 6 o'clock.
And yet here we are. Yeah, it's good to see you, buddy. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
At this point, you might want to just meet us at the first airport. We're just minutes out from Sierra November Alpha Lima. So just meet us on the runway. We're going to be taking off from runway 28. And in about 2 minutes,
Any
we're going to be
new
landing.
updates?
Sorry?
Any new updates?
In-game updates? Yeah, actually, I think there was. We don't need one for tonight, but there is a USA update that they just added. That's not going to affect us tonight, though.
Okay, good.
Like I said, Sierra November Alpha Lima, runway 28. Which if I looked hard enough, I could probably see it. No, I got the sun in front of me, so I got that weird haze.
Whereabouts is that?
It's just off the coast of Brazil. Kind of towards the northern part of Brazil. Yeah, we're only 17 miles out.
What you flying?
We're in that Twin Baron. We fly that actually
Oh, that's
quite a
right.
bit.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've flown this aircraft, but it's wonderful. It just does what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't give you any problems. So I don't remember, Split Horse. You a football fan?
49ers.
Ah, there you go. Right on. I was going to ask you who you root for. So we were talking earlier that the NFL draft started yesterday, and yeah, I always enjoy that. It's certainly not exciting, but I just like it because it's football. You know, it's a long time until the season starts, and it's nice to have some football.
Yeah, I've been watching spring training going on. You know, it's very loose, not very coordinated. Just watching Purdy out there throwing the football.
Brock.
Yep, Brock Purdy. Talk about a NFL draft. Mr. Insignificant.
Look, he's working out for you guys, though, isn't he? I mean, didn't he play last year?
Yeah, he played last year. They had some problems though, and I wouldn't say it's all his. I think they had some team continuity problems early on with people holding out, not going to spring training.
Oh, that kind of
You know,
stuff.
holding out for more money, bullshit. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I understand.
Yeah, we can
that's
take it out
infuriating.
post.
I forgot you're streaming this. Sorry,
Right
people.
on. Oh yeah, I should have warned you. We're streaming. Yeah, it's all right. I think YouTube can handle some cursing a little bit here and there. I've heard. I'm not sure if it's true, but I've heard that it's like the algorithm doesn't like it if there's a lot of swear words and stuff in the first minute or two. But if you're past the first minute or two, let her rip. Alrighty, we're 11 miles out. I don't quite see this place yet, but that's not uncommon. I know when we do see it, we're going to be going pretty much down the pipe. You got your markers on, buddy? You see it?
I do. Yeah, I got them on.
Here in a second, we should see Split Horse's name tag. That'll help. So apparently they're in the draft. There's this Sanders guy that everybody's talking about. They're amazed that he hasn't been drafted yet. He was like the #1 guy, and he fell all the way to round 2. Before the flight started, he still hasn't been picked by anybody. The one thing is, I never looked up to see what position he is. I don't know if he's a quarterback or something, but he was supposed to be like the big #1 guy. I doubt it's anything my Lions are looking for, but you never know. Well, we do have an awesome quarterback. We wouldn't trade him for anything, but he's not the youngest guy ever. I mean, before too long, we're going to have to think of a new quarterback.
We got a nice quarterback too.
Steve says he still hasn't been picked. Split Horse, got your name tag. Very handy. How you doing?
Got you in a goose.
Oh, you might not have switched after last week. I enjoyed that goose flight last week. That was pretty fun. I like that goose a lot. It's not the easiest thing in the world to fly, but it's pretty cool.
Okay, I think I got it all taken care of.
Yep, it still says you're in the Grumman Goose, but it also says you're in a BE-58, so perfect.
Well, unfortunately, I entered in the Goose and got out and switched it, so hopefully that update.
Yeah, see the airport.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the longest runway in the world, but it's plenty for these birds. It's just over 3,000 feet.
I'm sure y'all want me to get off the runway.
Makes it a little easier.
Oh, that's what Steve just mentioned. That's Dion's son. I'm guessing Dion Sanders. That explains his last name being Sanders. Oh, he's
So
a
it's not Colonel
quarterback. All
Sanders.
right, I didn't realize that. I heard his name being bandied about a lot. I wonder what the reason could be why people are not picking him. Do they think he's going to be problematic in some way, or teams just don't need a quarterback? Or they're hoping if he drops to round 3, they can get him cheaper. Who knows what the deal is. Hey, Hopper, we're almost there. We're almost to our first stop. Don't make me turn this thing around. Better lose a little altitude here. Coming in high and hot. Yeah, it always makes it hard to get a good, clear picture when you got the sun in your face, as it should be. It's a nice effect.
Some nut just landed. Oh, that's Wingnut. Never mind.
That was me.
Was your gear down, Laser? Because
Yep.
it showed it up for me as you flew by. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's one of the things in this sim. They still haven't quite got the landing gear part figured out. Even when you're just like right in front of somebody, you never see their gear. Well, not never, but you often don't see their gear until it's way too late. I remember that being an issue with other sims, like even in FSX days, but it didn't seem to be this bad. Coast, my lord, that was quite the short stop you made there. Excellent landing.
I was going to say that was awful quick. You must have had your parking brake on already.
Wow, you
Is
need
that why his wheels are smoking?
you could have landed 4 more times with that kind of a short landing. Excellent. All right, let's meet back on runway 28, and we're going to get these birds out of here. We'll figure out what our next leg's all about. Another nice little city here with their own little airport. They got this poor guy who lives right at the end of the runway. I bet you he sees airplanes going right over his living room all day long. Alrighty, our next stop is Sierra November Alpha Hotel, Adustina. Yeah, so we're going to get to that next. Let's see here. We're going to take off, take a little bit of a left-hand turn. I do believe we will be landing on runway 32. Yeah, count on runway 32 when we get there. We've got 3,500 foot of bituminous runway, so that's good stuff. Nice hard surface, an elevation of 770 feet, so keep that in mind. But we will be landing runway 32. I'll give you a reminder when we get closer. Alright, if everybody's ready to go, let's go ahead and get these birds back up in the air. Adios, muchachos. Lazerbolt's rolling. Let's go ahead and climb these birds back up to 5,000 feet. That's a nice, comfortable altitude. We're trying to maintain 150 knots indicated today. Yeah, I can always tell when it's Friday because the bar downstairs is just hopping.
Wait a minute, did you say the bar downstairs?
Yeah, you didn't know I live above a bar?
Well, you used to, and then you didn't. Did you move back?
I never moved out, actually. Yeah, no. I quit my job
What?
down there. Yeah, I quit my job down there, but I kept
okay.
living here. Yeah, I
I
bartended.
thought you had to move out with
Yeah,
that whole fiasco.
I bartended for over 20 years. And one day it was enough. It was just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I was planning on moving and everything like that, and then yeah, me and the owner of the place kind of hashed it out, and he agreed that it would be okay if I kept living here, and I agreed that that would be great. So yeah, I'm still here. Been here for 30 years.
Still have access to the bar?
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, I go down there and clean every day. That pays my rent. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, 5 days a week. As soon as the bar closes, I can see when the light goes out. I just grab my gloves and my cleaning supplies, and I go downstairs and clean up real quick. It takes me about, I don't know, half hour. So 5 days a week, a half hour at a time, that pays my rent. So how could I move out after a deal like that, right?
Really? Are you still working at that other place, the machinist or whatever that was?
The aluminum factory I was working at there? Yeah, yeah. No, I haven't worked there in quite a while. Yeah, I worked there for about 6 years making bumpers for Tesla. Made aluminum bumpers for Tesla for like 6 years. All of a sudden one day I was like, what am I doing? I hate this place. I absolutely hate everything about this place. You know, it's a job like that that makes you feel like, you know, am I nothing more than just a machine to make money? That's what I'm on Earth for. I'm just here to make money. You know, it was getting to me after a while. Plus, they made the mistake that they paid me pretty good. You know, I'm a single guy, and I have very simple means, and I live very inexpensively. Especially, like I said, I don't have rent to pay and stuff like that. So they paid me too well. After about 6 years, I had a bunch of money built up, and I was like, you know what? I don't give a crap about anything that has to do with this place. You know, This guy can kiss my ass. That big pile of aluminum bumpers, I can kick those and not even care. I just one day I just had enough. What am I doing here? I am miserable every day. I'm making good money, but is it worth being miserable every day? I said no. I said no. I left. I knew as soon as when I was in my car in the parking lot, and I realized I'm not coming back tomorrow. It was such a relief. It was the biggest wave of relief I could remember feeling in my life. And it was like, yep, you're making the right decision. And that was about 6 years ago. Since then, I've just been kind of taking up odd jobs here and there and getting along just fine. I do most of my working in the summertime, and then I take the winter times off and just hibernate and do my own thing, and that's it. Summertime rolls around, I find something to do to make some cash. Like I said, it's pretty inexpensive to live around here, and I don't have expensive tastes, It's always been my motto to don't take out any loans, don't have any credit cards, don't have any bills, don't have any expensive habits that you can't afford, don't be a failed gambler, don't, pay for everything with cash. Every single thing I own, and I can get by pretty cheap.
That's awesome. That's where that saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly. And the opposite is true. If you hate going to work every day, what's the point, man? What are you doing? You know what I mean? What are you doing with your life if you don't have a second worth of, joy every day? We're talking every day, not just 5 days a week. And it was, and then the pandemic hit there, and good Lord, they were, they're like, we're considered essential workers. So they were having us work like 7 days a week. It's like, man, 7 days a week, you cannot request time off. If you take a day off, it counts against you. I did that for like 9 months and said, you know what, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done around here. I can't do this no more. 7 days a week of absolute misery. Like I said, they made the mistake of paying me too good. I racked up a whole bunch of money in the bank, and they said, yeah, I'm out. Unfortunately,
what's your cruise speed?
I'm a little too young still to retire yet, so I still need to work for the next 10 years or so. But I'm not working there. And what was that split?
Cruise speed.
Cruise speed 150 indicated.
Copy that.
Of course, that will be affected by whatever weather you have selected. Right now I just have a few clouds selected, so there's not much wind. So I'm not exactly sure what my ground speed is, but indicated I'm doing 150.
What's your heading? I don't have the flight plan installed, so I'm setting up my autopilot.
Yeah, right now I'm doing 261.
Yep, 264 myself. So right in that neighborhood, 26-ish will get you there. And we're still about 78 miles out from Sierra November Alpha Hotel. Looks like it's shaping up to be a real nice sunset here. Hey, what's up, my buddy Coast? Hanging out up here?
Yeah, I found you. I flew that last leg with my flaps down. That's why I never caught up.
That's a good way to waste fuel.
Or break your plane like Longhorn does.
Yeah, or kill my flaps. Yeah.
Wingnut, greetings. Up here with the big boys. Big boys in a small airplane.
Finally caught up.
Yeah, I thought I'd be slick and look up our final destination here, Valente. And I thought, well, I'll look it up and read a Wikipedia article about it so I have something to talk about. And I looked it up. There's zero information on Valente. Nothing. It barely has a Wikipedia entry. And the entry is all just like links to other stuff. It was like, huh, okay. I don't know what the hell goes on here in Valente, but it's a pretty small place.
They don't want us gringos messing around down there.
Probably not.
I hope they love what they do.
So did anybody hear any information about that new update? The USA, it's called the USA City update, not a world update. Any idea what cities they monkeyed with?
San Francisco, Colorado, Denver, I think it was Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh. Oh, some of those might be worth checking out. It's been a little bit since we've flown around Denver, that's for sure. Not much to see here, but it's still pretty.
I gave that property that we had in Colorado, gave it away.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't really worth a whole lot of money. It was worth like maybe back then it was maybe worth $4,000.
Wow.
I mean, it's out in the middle of a frickin' desert. You know, there's very few houses around it.
Not much infrastructure for a
and the
house.
thing is he never paid property tax on it, so it was just a big mess. And you know what? I don't want to deal with a big mess for $4,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that almost sounds like legal troubles too. You don't want that.
Yeah, you know, it was my uncle's, so you know, we had the deed. It wasn't really signed over to us, but you know, we just did, you know, to the homeowners association or whatever that was, said, you want it, take possession of it, you pay the property tax back taxes on it.
Right on. Yeah, I have a buddy around here, a buddy of mine that just got a real good deal on a house in Detroit. Apparently there's all kinds of sections in Detroit where there's housing that they're just trying to get rid of. They're basically dilapidated neighborhoods that they're just trying to sell the house super cheap and the property super cheap to anybody who wants to fix it up. And he bought a house with the property for like $1,000, $1,000. They just sold it to him and said, here, the only stipulation is you have 2 years where you don't have to pay any taxes, but use those 2 years to fix the place up. You know, and he's really not planning on living there, but he wants to fix it up and rent it out. You know, for $1,000, that's a decent investment. You know, it's going to cost a lot to fix the place up, but he's a pretty handy guy. I thought, wow, homeowner for $1,000. That's something, you know.
Yeah, they're trying to. There's certain neighborhoods which are blighted. They want to improve, and it's hard to get people to come back into them.
Yeah.
So they'll
And
do anything to get people coming in.
yeah, and the thing is too, I asked him, I was like, "Hey, buddy, does that mean it's like a really bad neighborhood and everything?" He's like, "No, it's not even a neighborhood. There's nobody there. There's, you know, it's not a good neighborhood, not a bad neighborhood. It's just, you know, it's just a house with property. You know, it doesn't have any neighbors or anything like that. And obviously, anybody moving in there is going to be fixing the place up too. So." I said, well, it's worth it. You know, like I said, he's not even planning on really living there, but he couldn't turn him down for $1,000. He thought, well, when's the last time somebody offered you that?
Yeah, I wonder how big the house was.
Yeah, I've never gone there with him. He, you know, like I said, we don't live near Detroit. That's probably a 5-hour drive for us. So he heads up there occasionally on the weekends and kind of tinkers around on it. I think mostly he's been cleaning it out. But I mean, you know, even if you sell it to the next guy for $2,000, it's better than nothing, you know.
Definitely. Well, that's just it. That's why I asked how big it was. You know, if it's a small house, you know, 2-bedroom house, maybe something like that. That's the perfect rental. And
Yeah.
you know, just spend the money and fix it up, and then rent it out.
You know, probably the best thing would be to get it livable so you can move in there. It's not great yet, but it's got plumbing and electricity and everything you need. And then have somebody move in there that would fix it up for rent, you know. Just say, hey, yeah, go ahead and, you know, anytime you fix anything, send me the bill and we'll take that off your rent. And just have somebody working on it that lives there. Yeah, plus, like I said, 2 years with no taxes, just to give you extra money to fix the place up. I wonder how far it is away from Ford Field.
I had to move out of Idaho because we couldn't really afford the property tax anymore.
I heard Idaho is really growing right now. It's kind of booming. I have a niece that's a doctor there, and she lives in Boise. And yeah, it sounds like it's really exploding.
Well, you know, when we moved there, we spent a lot of money on the property, but it had electricity, it had a community well, it had a nice paved road that was maintained by the county for snow removal and all that, and the dump was, you know, 5 miles away. I mean, it was a perfect lot. It was 5 acres. We paid $200,000 for the lot, and then we built a house for around 2,500 square foot home. Beautiful. I don't know if I ever showed you any pictures, but it had a 30 by 40 shop, everything. Wow. And had it built for $250,000. So we were all in at around $450,000. And 4 years later, it was sold it for $1.1 million. So
that's a good
and
investment.
They assess your property taxes every year. So as the value went up every year by leaps and bounds, our property taxes went up, and we were looking at paying like $10,000 in property tax.
Oh, yikes.
And we're like, time to sell.
Was that California where you're at?
That was northern Idaho.
Idaho? They're that high?
For 1.1 million value on your home? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when you were working on that place. It's good to see that that was what happened to it. Sounds like it was a good investment.
I did not want to move.
There's probably a lot of work, but you made some cash.
Yeah, I really didn't want to move. I was taking care of my mom, and she got tired of the snow, so she actually moved for a short time with my sister in Arizona, and it's a family tragedy, really. They totally abused my mom, and she called me up and said that her best friend was driving up there to get her, and so I was living in a trailer in Idaho, in a fifth wheel type trailer. Well, it was a travel trailer actually, looking for a place. And so she said, I'm never going back there again. They're just waiting for me to die, trying to get me to sign over everything to them. And she was like,
That's
get
not
me out of
good.
here.
Yeah, exactly. Get me out of this place. Well, that's a shame.
Well, what my sister didn't know was that for taking care of my mom for so many years, my mom, when we bought that place in Rio Vista, California, it was a repo, and we fixed it up. We bought it for $149.9, fixed it up, sold it for $350 2 years later, and that allowed us to move to Idaho and all that. And what my sister didn't know was that when we bought that place for $149.9, my mom had me sign the papers along with her, so I owned half of it.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, they're
then
smart.
when we bought the place and built the place in Idaho, my mom put the whole house in my name. So when my mom died, my sister had an absolute fit.
Yeah, that's how it works, though. You know. Yeah, it's nice. Like you said, you got a little bit of playing money now. You can just figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna move back to Idaho.
Oh, what's
But
so nice about it there?
it's
Was
just
it?
me. It's just me. So I'm just gonna buy a,
What did you like so much? Was it
small
the
little
area, in
place.
particular, that you lived in? Didn't you live
Oh
kind of in
yeah,
the hills?
forest. Yeah, I, I have a side by side, so I want to get back to Idaho where it's legal to drive it. And, the forest is right there. I had a lot of friends in the club that I belong to, so I want to get back to that.
It's a beautiful place up there. There's a family I watch on
It
YouTube.
really is.
Yeah, they live in northern Idaho, moved out of Washington State into northern Idaho, and they do a weekly YouTube thing with their family, and man, that's a beautiful place where they got in that area.
Whereabouts in northern?
I'm not sure
around
what
Sandpoint, maybe.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to save, but it's
Well, it's not very
probably
big. We were like 45 minutes away from the Canadian border, so.
yeah, I think they're up there pretty close because there's some big mountains in the background from their home that I see. I think I've heard them say they're less than an hour from Washington State, or what's that city over there?
An hour away from Washington, huh? That could have been Athol. That's where I lived.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you the name of the town they're in, but they're not even really in town. They're way out in the country, though.
Well, the panhandle of Idaho is not very wide, so
Yeah.
and not very long. So probably around Sandpoint, I would say, which is right by Schweitzer Ski Resort, which is a really nice place to ski.
Well, gentlemen, we're about 36 miles out from our next destination. Reminder, we will be landing on runway 32. Count on runway 32 when we get there. It's a slightly longer runway than that last one. And that last one was plenty. That's another thing I like about this bird. It doesn't need much of a runway at all.
I gotta put on my parking brake and see if I can beat Coast's landing time.
I tell you, the only way you beat me is if you land backwards.
Yeah, probably right.
So how are you liking this bird so far, Split Horse? You able to keep up?
Yeah, I'm not. I can see you. I'm only going 151 knots.
Well, catch up to us.
I mean, I see the plane.
Yeah, you're only 0.68 miles behind us. About a half a mile, I guess, behind us.
Making sure we don't get snuck up on.
I informed the tail gunner to stay away.
Yeah.
I wish I had loaded this up prior to the flight, so I could have had the flight plan and familiarized myself with the flight stuff. But on my Bravo controls, I have autopilot, and I'm just moving the nav button around to maneuver.
Oh, right on. Just to keep you on
Yeah,
track.
we're still holding 264 degrees heading, so if you lock onto that, you'll be right with us.
Yep, 30 miles out. 31, actually.
I guess I'm going to have to download some sort of driver to get my lights on my Bravo controls to light up again.
Yep, probably have to get that right from the website.
If I was smart, I would have turned a light on before I started flying.
You trying to tell us that you don't know how to turn the lights on? I mean, no, right.
Yeah, but then I have to get out of this flight chair that I'm sitting in.
Well, luckily, all of our light switches in this airplane are just to the left, just underneath your avionics panel. They're all right down there. You see all the silver switches. Yep. Down is off, up is up. Hey, looking good there, guys.
It's hard to believe back in the P3D, we were so excited when that came out because it did trees better and all that. and it just doesn't compare to this at all.
No, I never really noticed that big of a difference with P3D. It seemed just kind of a pain in the ass to even get it. But everybody swore up and down on it, how it was better. I mean, it probably performed a little better. I think one of the major things they did was it took advantage, for the first time, it took advantage of multi-core processors. I think FSX was developed before multi-core processors were quite such a big deal, and Windows Vista was not good at handling that kind of stuff. And it was that long ago. It was a Windows Vista application. Anyway, I think P3D
was it
finally.
Vista? Jeez.
Yeah, I think P3D finally started using multiple cores on your processor, and that made a big difference. But
And you can do
I couldn't get-
multi-threads
I mean-
on each core.
well, it's one of the things that looks-wise and play-wise, it all seemed the same. It didn't make much of a difference to me.
Not for
Well,
me.
they-
P3D, is that another simulator?
Yeah, it was pretty much a company bought the rights to the old FSX, the Flight Simulator 10. They bought the rights to that so they could get inside and monkey with the nuts and bolts. And like I said, basically make it a little more of a modern sim, because this, that was after FSX had already been out for probably 6 years. And so they wanted
Wasn't
to
it
update
Lockheed
a little.
Martin?
It might have
Lockheed
been.
Martin.
Yeah. I think their initial goal was they wanted to really make it fancy enough to be an actual training tool for their pilots to actually train on an aircraft using the sim. And then they just started releasing it to students, and they started releasing it to the general public, and it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to get your hands on, but eventually it was. Eventually it was just like buying anything else. And like I said, I don't know, it didn't make that big of a difference to me. It was okay. I was just glad to have a sim that worked. FSX was fine for the day. That was a long time ago. That sim probably didn't age well, but it was fine for when we needed it. The one thing I love about this new batch of sims starting in 2020 and then now in this one, 2024, is how much better it runs. It's smooth as silk. It's beautiful, it's layered, it's complex, and it just runs like a top. It doesn't chug or anything. Get great frame rates, and you would think that with a more complex program it would be worse, but no, it's better programming architecture and stuff. Like if you tried to run FSX on a fancy brand new computer, it would still run like crap. It wouldn't run good. Even though it's a 12-year-old program, it would still run every bit as bad as it used to, just because it's just programming architecture, and not just hardware but software has improved leaps and bounds over that time. And the new software knows how to take advantage of the new hardware, and that's something that FSX never did. It didn't even take advantage of the current hardware back in the time.
How far are we away from our target here?
It's a good question. We're getting close. We're actually 13 miles out. I should start paying attention. 13
Yeah,
miles
I
out.
was
Reminder: we're going to be landing runway 32. Runway 32. And also, it reminds me that this is our penultimate stop for the evening. So, when we get down, count on taking a 10-minute break. And be a good chance to refresh your coffee or make a cocktail or use the restroom. And we'll be on the ground for 10 minutes. So, reminder. I'm glad you said something, Coast. I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, it was like being at home again.
I
should see
noticed
this
Coast
place.
was slowing down. I'm like, oh, that must be the runway up ahead there a ways.
Going out to the left, I see.
Yep, I'm going to swing out so we can get into that runway 11.
Boy, this plane is a powerful plane.
It really is. Those twin engines, man, it really packs a wallop. They've got that single engine Bonanza that is exactly the same as this aircraft, same company and everything. But it's a single engine instead of a twin engine. Cockpit's the same and everything. And my lord, that makes such a difference. It's that one's a little bit of a slog. It doesn't like to climb too well, and it has all kinds of small issues. But this one, power is not an issue at all. This is a great airplane for flying around up in the mountains and stuff.
Just off to your left, Coast. Little lower than you.
Place shouldn't be too hard to find. Like I said, it's over 3,500 feet of bituminous. I don't know if it's got lights or anything like that, but we probably don't need them. It's always a problem when we're flying westerly. You get that sun glare in your way. But I think we're doing just fine. Yep, and it's perfectly in that sun glare. I know it's there, and I know it's close, but I just can't quite see it yet. I'm going to follow you in, Wingnut.
Okay. I got the sunset right in my eyes too, but I do have it in sight though.
Yeah, nice little place here. Can go off to this other side here so I don't run into the ground crew. Very nice landing coast. I love it. It's just like you know what you're doing. Split Horse looking fine too in his first landing in the Twin Baron.
Yeah, that felt pretty good.
Alright guys, like I said, we're down on the ground. This is our penultimate stop. We got one more to go. Let's take a quick break, go use the restroom or grab some more coffee or a cocktail, and we're going to be back up in the air. Let's just say, oh, I don't know, 35 past the hour, whatever hour it is for you. 35 past the hour, we're on the runway.
Okay.
I'm sure this little dirt strip was the taxiway.
Alrighty, let's check our flight plan here and see what our last airport's all about. That will be that Valente airport I was talking.
That's SNVV, I believe.
You are correct. Sierra November Victor Victor at Valente. Well, I think when we get there, we're also going to be landing on runway 32. It's another decent-sized runway for these birds, 3,300 feet of asphalt. We do have a significant elevation, though. It's going to be up in the hills. We're at 1,300 feet of elevation. Nothing too crazy. You're not going to need oxygen or nothing, but just keep that in mind as you're descending. Don't go past 1,300. So, like I said, runway 32 is 3,000 feet of asphalt, and that'll be just fine. So we take off out of here. Let's take a left-hand turn. We'll get back on course. Alrighty, I'm going to go back and take a spot on this runway here. Squeak up here past Bob.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. Alright guys, we're taking off in roughly a minute. Roughly a minute here. Same thing, we can climb up to 5,000 feet, try to maintain around 150 knots indicated. We'll get to Valentia.
There's a pretty cool helicopter sitting over here to the left of us. You see that, or you see something different?
What's that again, Bob?
As there's a nice helicopter sitting over here in the grass right beside us on the left.
Oh. Yeah, it's like, it looks like one of them little ones, like a gimbal or whatever they call it. Of course, it might be randomized, but definitely got a little helicopter. I got lots of airplanes here for sure. I even got people walking around.
Yeah, I show 3 helicopters, one yellow, one red, and one white, with the funny looking one with the little fin sticking up where the propellers come out.
Yeah, I just got the little white one, and that's all I got. Like I said, I think that's the gimbal. It's a little French helicopter.
Yeah, I'm seeing a different one. I'm not sure what the model is, but and a black biplane over next to it in the grass.
Alright guys, 30 seconds. If you need more time, let me know, but that's what we're doing. 30 seconds, we're up and out of here. Slight left-hand turn to get back on course. I always do that. I say something like 30 seconds, but I don't look at the clock, so I can't tell when 30 seconds have gone by. Okay, gentlemen, let's get these birds up in the air. Lazerbolt is spooling up and rolling. Oh yeah, that sun is going to start turning some real nice colors before we get to Valente.
Dang, I got squirrely all over the runway. I don't know why.
Really? Yeah, usually these tripods are pretty stable. At least they did us a favor and chopped down all the trees at the end of the runway. Usually this, like, the biggest tree in the area is right at the end of the runway. This place, they cleared them out. Bob, are you planning on getting that alpha version of the Hercules when it comes out next month?
Yeah, I think I might try it.
Yeah, like I said, it's a alpha version, so I'm fully expecting there's going to be some flaws to it, but it looks pretty nice, and I would love to help them test it out.
Yeah, if you go to that website that I posted in the link, they have a whole list of things that they're still, that are things that are complete, things that are incomplete, and still in works. And with the understanding they will be updated over time.
I would just have to imagine that the flight model itself is one of the first things that they did. That hopefully the things that they're messing with is like the onboard computer and just all the fancy gizmos and gadgets, you know.
Yeah, I'd rather, my memory's not as good as it was, but there was a whole list of things that you can look at that tells you what they've done and what still needs to be done.
I might have to check out that 2024 version of the C-130J also. I'm intrigued by that. Just the fact that they call it a 2024 version, I love that. Let's go.
Yeah.
They
That
probably, they have to meet some kind of standard to even say that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Lazerbolt is holding 5,000 at 150 indicated. Another landing directly into the sunset, but it's going to be beautiful. We're kind of heading out in the middle of nowhere now. We're leaving the coast behind and we're going closer to, basically closer to the Amazon jungle.
I keep forgetting to hit that nav button.
I'm not even sure where all the nav button and all that stuff is on this thing.
Yeah, I hit the nav button and everything. It didn't seem to want to follow the GPS though.
It's a
Even when
little,
it says GPS.
right, it's a little odd in this one that it'll follow the GPS line, but you already have to be kind of sort of pointing at it, and you got to be set up pretty good for it to actually latch on and start navigating you that way.
Oh, okay. I'll slew over to the left a little bit.
It's like you don't really need to be exactly on the line, but at least pointing towards it. Like you're already heading towards the line, and it'll latch onto it, and when you get there, it'll straighten you out. It seems a little less forgiving than it used to be back in the day,
Yeah,
which
now they
is
got
probably
these
more
little-
realistic, you know.
Yeah, and then they've got these little red or pink looking boxes that once you're lined up and you're at your altitude you selected, and looks like you're flying through them little boxes.
Yeah, it'll keep you in the.
Yeah, I
In the
see him
tunnel.
on my display. Oh, okay, there it goes. Yeah, I had to get close to it, and then it turned over to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it works pretty well though. I remember we used to have all kinds of problems just finding the GPS switch to switch it from GPS to nav. I don't think that's an issue anymore.
Yeah, I like the CDI button.
Yeah, it was in it. Every aircraft had it in a different place, and they would hide that button on purpose. I swear they would. Nobody ever put it in the same place, and it was always in the most obscure, weird ass. It's like look over your left shoulder, and it's kind of by your elbow, and it's right there. It's like, oh, man, that's the one place I didn't even bother looking. And it was usually nowhere near the rest of the autopilot functionality, and it's intricately connected to the autopilot, you know.
makes me think that the original plane didn't have it, and they ended up just throwing it wherever they had space.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, JMB. Welcome back to the chat. Yeah, it's good to hear you're doing good, buddy. I'm doing well myself. JMB makes it every Friday for our flights, and I gotta say, I appreciate that. We are 74 miles out from our final stop of Valente, Brazil. I think the one bit of information I was able to glean out of the very tiny amount of information there was something to do with the fact that this part of Brazil is a prefecture or something like that. It's still Brazil, but it's like technically like Portuguese, I guess. So this Valente city is some kind of a Portuguese city in Brazil. I could be way wrong about all that. There was very little information to find about it. I didn't dig much. I just thought, hey, I'll check out Wikipedia. And that's what Wikipedia had. It wasn't much.
Well, I've lost sight of all of you. I guess it must be the clouds.
Maybe. Oh, no, I see you over there. You're just off to my, I don't know, 11 o'clock. You're 0.6 miles away. And you're going further.
In front of you?
Yeah, you're going further and further away all the time. You need to cut back to the
okay.
right.
I was trying to catch up. I'm like, I don't see him behind him.
No, when you cut across right in front of me. I saw you when you latched onto your autopilot. You just went right in front of my windscreen. So that's why I knew where you were. There you go. You're getting closer now.
Yeah, I'll slow down.
Yeah, one thing you can do too is if you're up in the clouds and it's annoying you and you can't see anything, this one lets you quite easily, well, it used to let you in the other one too, but you can just raise that cloud layer. Bring down from the upper panel, bring down your weather and your clouds, and there's a little slider. Just raise it up to like 5,000 feet and it's out of your way. It's cheating, but it's handy. I mean, we're just here to have a good time.
I did that earlier.
Well, I like how in this one it remembers it. Like, it remembers what weather I've got set, it remembers my air speeds, it remembers my cloud layers. And every week I don't have to monkey with it, it's just ready to go.
Well, that was cool.
What'd you do?
I just raised them up about, I don't know, 500 feet.
Yeah. Handy, right?
Yeah, nice.
And I like how it lets you do it real time. Remember in FSX, you couldn't mess with anything. Once you got that sim running, you couldn't mess with anything, or the whole thing would go down. You'd have to start over. You couldn't change your weather, time of day. You couldn't change anything. In this one, it's like right on the fly. Instantaneous. It just switches to whatever you want.
Yeah, I think they made a lot of improvements in 2024.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Smooth as silk, too. You would think that, you know, the more they complicate it, the less it would be that smooth and responsive. But it's wonderful. It's absolutely fantastic. And I've got a decent computer system, but it's not like the craziest. And I've got what would it be, a 30 series graphics card, an RTX 32 Ti or something like that. It's far from the fantastic graphics card. You can get way better. And just my system overall, you know, it's you can get way better. It's only a 6-core, pretty old. It's about a 6-year-old computer, but I keep upgrading it with new parts. But yeah, this thing runs like a top on here. And that's with all the bells and whistles turned on too. Got ray tracing.
Yeah, I have a 4090. I got everything turned up all the way.
That's a beast right there. That is a heck of a good card.
It's running at 65 degrees Celsius at the moment.
Yeah, I believe mine's a 3070 Ti. Even in the 30 series, there's a couple better ones that you can get, but still, 3070 Ti. It doesn't have as much RAM as I'd like, but apparently that's the Ti part. It doesn't need as much RAM because it's significantly quicker. It never fills up. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, runs like a top, and it was a good bargain.
Yeah, if this card goes out, I have to go back to a 2070.
I think I have that exact same card, the 2070 from years ago, years and years ago. That was a good card 10 years ago, but it's old now. I'm not sure if it was quite 10 years ago, but at one time that was a decent card.
It still ran, you know, the last version, 20, what they call it, 2020?
2020, yeah. Just straight up 2020.
It still ran that pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when I
this
upgraded.
over San Francisco or New York or LA or anything like that, so.
Yeah, you stay away from Tokyo and all the big cities. Well, one issue that they fixed in 2024 for me, anyway, was back in the 2020 days, almost every single time I approached an airport, whenever I would get within maybe 8 miles of the airport, everything would lock up for a second. It would only be for literally a second or a second and a half, but it was enough to worry you. It's like, oh no, here we go, the whole thing's crashing. And it would eventually fill the buffer and grab whatever data it was getting from the airport we're landing at, and then it would clear itself up and go along. But it always made me nervous every time it happened, and it was very noticeable every time it happened. And that doesn't happen at all for me anymore now. Nothing like that. Nothing. It's just smooth as silk all the way down to the runway. I think it was just exchanging a big packet of information that took too long, but they fixed that.
I played this YouTube video, or maybe it was Facebook, I don't know. There was some video, and the guy started his computer and tried to log on to something, and it had the window pop up for his 56.6 modem.
Oh no.
Making that noise, I'm like, oh no.
Oh, those days.
The fast modem, come on.
It was.
And I remember when 9600 was considered blazing fast.
Anybody want 2 Hayes 600s?
No, why, you got a couple of them just laying around?
Yeah.
Those might be antiques by now, buddy. You might want to, I don't know, check on the value of some of that stuff if it still works, especially if you still got the box.
Original Hayes, by the way, not just something just real Hayes motors. They were the real good motors in the day, back in the day.
I have heard for quite a while now that if you still have the original boxed edition of FSX, that's worth something. Of course, you know, who the hell could you sell it to now? Nobody has a DVD drive in their computers anymore. But
you can always
that's not
buy
the
a
point. It's
DVD
just
drive
valuable. Sorry, Coast?
You can always buy a DVD drive and put it through USB.
Yeah, that is true. As a matter of fact, my last computer, that's how I loaded FSX in there. I went and bought a cheap external DVD drive and plugged it in, and that's how I loaded FSX onto my computer. Luckily, it was one of them, once it's installed, you didn't have to worry about it no more. You can just take the disc out.
Oh, I tried to load in GTA 5, and since I haven't played it in so long, somebody took over my my account.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's got some weird email on there, and the problem is my original email I don't have access to anymore, so I have no access to my my games.
You know, that might explain some stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, but on the MS Flight's website, have you noticed that you've made a bunch of weird posts on there that they're clearly not from you? It's just weird stuff, you know, like how many people are having trouble with their lawn furniture, you know, blah blah blah. Go here and we'll explain how to fix your lawn furniture. And I'm thinking that doesn't sound like Split Horse at all. But that started a couple years ago, and that's probably about the same time they took over your account.
Well, that sucks.
It was just like you were posting completely unrelated random shit in
Yeah,
topics
I
that had nothing to do with
Halo's,
anything.
Halo sent me a message, and by then, you know, the website was kind of
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of
functional
traffic there anymore.
You know, I don't understand why people get their jollies off of hacking somebody's account like that and just screwing it all up. I mean, is their life really that miserable that they want to screw somebody up like that?
They just do it
Apparently.
because they can. You know, they figured out how to do it, and now they're just going to mess with you.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever play GTA 5 again, so I don't know if I want to go through the hassle of going through Rockstar's, you know.
Right, to recover
I
your...
kind of looked at it, and it was just so freaking convoluted. And
They did
especially
release...
since I don't have access to my last email.
And that's what it was attached to?
Yeah.
You might be better off...
I would have to pay Yahoo a bunch of money to gain access to my old email address because it was through frontier.com, which Yahoo bought out. And
You
then
might
they
be...
changed my password, so I can't get into my old email address anymore.
You might be better off just
money.
as far as GTA goes, just start a new account.
Well, I guess I could. I guess I could do that.
I mean, you might have to
I mean,
rebuy
I
the
don't
game.
care about my say. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
but you know,
I don't
actually,
know if
I've
I wanna do that.
been getting back to playing a little bit of GTA lately. They released some kind of a enhanced version. It's got like new fancy graphics and all that kind of stuff.
I
And it's
downloaded all
pretty
that,
cool.
and now I can't play it. So
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Once again, a really good way to get that is it is on GamePass. So get yourself a new email address and a whole new situation, and go on GamePass. You can play it for free. I see Game Pass just added all kinds of new neat stuff too. That Oblivion, they redid Oblivion, and that's one of my favorite games going back in the day. So that's on Game Pass now too.
is that a multiplayer game?
No, it's just good old-fashioned swords and sorcery, first-person view. I don't know if you remember the game
I mean,
back.
I played the original, but I
you
was
remember?
hoping that they
Yeah,
might have
it's probably
added
the same thing. I don't know if they added a multiplayer component. I don't know. I think they just kind of redid it, made it look nice and pretty, and updated the graphics and all that. But you remember the original game Morrowind? It was on Xbox. Like this is like
Oh, yeah.
this is the game that came after that, and it's amazing. It's a great game. I've played
Oh
so
yeah,
much
I've
time.
played all of them since the very first
Yep.
one that came out.
I believe this is the one that came right before the Dragon one. Dragon
The
something.
one thing that I didn't like about it was going through those demon gates and dealing with the demons. That
right.
was kind of monotonous.
Well, yeah, not the first time. The first time when they kick your ass, it's like, oh my god, and then you figure out how to, get the right equipment.
Yeah, but every time I saw another gate, I was like, oh no, I got to go through that
We're gonna
again.
do it again. All right, guys, we're 39 miles out from our final destination of the evening. Like I said, we're going to be coming in on runway 32 again, so count on that. A little bit of an elevation. As we're going along, the ground is slowly coming up to meet us, so it's going to be, what did I say, something like 1,700 feet? Let me double check. Yeah, it's going to be runway 32 at an elevation of 1,300 feet. We've got 3,300 feet of asphalt. That should be easy enough. But just like the last runway, it's runway 32. We're going to have to swing out to the left just a little bit.
You know, I bought GTA 5 through Steam, and I don't know if I want to unlink my Steam account.
Right. Right. Like, is that the only game that screwed up
linked.
for you? Or all your
Well,
Steam
it's
games?
linked. No, my Steam account's fine, but I linked my Steam account to my old email address through Rockstar. So I would have to unlink that account and link it to my new Rockstar account.
As soon as you try to do that, they're going to ask you for a password.
Well, I'll lose all my games through Rockstar, which would be annoying.
That's true. Really, the only games I got through Rockstar that I give a shit about is that one and Red Dead Redemption. I think they had another one too that was a lot of fun, like LA Noire. That was a good game. I think I've got that. I haven't felt like playing it in decades, but it was great. Boy, Wingnut, you found that perfect speed to stay alongside me there. You're perfectly stable.
Yeah, that's one of the good things. Once you lock it on, it's pretty steady.
This is going to be a very difficult runway to find. I'm going to have that sun glare right in my face. Looks pretty though. We are currently 32 miles out.
I can look into your plain coast. Looks like you got cabin lights on because it's all lit up inside.
Yeah, I like to keep awake.
He's got to eat his lunch. I might at some time this week try to pick up that C-130J for the marketplace and see how that works. That might, I don't know, I might be interested in flying another C-130 flight here for next week. So everybody else is...
Speaking of C-130,
oh,
do you
right
still do air hauler?
I haven't done air hauler in probably 5 or 6 years. You know, they came out with air hauler 2. And I was also
I do have that.
yeah, I was a beta tester on that one as well, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was getting a pretty complicated program. It had a lot of issues, but yeah, it was fun. I like that kind of stuff. It really gave you a reason to play. Although a lot of the same stuff, like they've got in the new game built right in 24. They've got all the you know, the career missions that you can do and all that kind of stuff. There are slight differences, well, actually pretty major differences, but a lot of the reason why I was playing Air Hauler 2 is just built right into the game now, you know. There are some things that I like better about Air Hauler. For instance, in this career mode, you have absolutely no sense whatsoever that you own a company somewhere. I don't even remember where my company is, if I even have one. I mean, when you start the career mode, you just basically buy an airplane and you say, I want to start here, and you don't even really have a home base. You don't have bills to pay, you know, it's just weird. In Air Hauler, I knew where my base was. This is, this is my home base. This is where all my airplanes get delivered to. This is where I'm operating out of. This is the place I pay rent on, and this is the place I make all my repairs. And you really had a sense of having a base of some sort. And this new one, not at all, zero. And I don't know. I don't think a lot of people even think about that, but to me, it's a negative. It doesn't feel like you're owning a company. It just feels like you're doing a bunch of mini games that are disconnected.
Yeah, I did a little bit of it. I went through all that stuff and got my pilot's license in the Cessna 172, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, like I said, I enjoy the cargo thing. It's neat. Yeah, like I said, it's just not quite as complex as Air Hauler was. I remember in Air Hauler, you could even buy stocks and stuff. It was great. And just the ability to buy and sell commodities. You would go to an airport and they just happen to have a bunch of whatever, and you could buy it, put it in your airplane, and take it somewhere else where they'll give you more money for it. It's just a simple trading type game. But
Yeah,
it gave you a
could
lot of
actually
reasons,
build
gave you a
an
lot of fun
airplane,
to
too.
fly. And back in that time, there was no real reason to fly. You just picked a couple places and you flew. That gave you a reason. Hey, I need to go to Timbuktu so I can drop off these iron lug nuts.
Yeah, and it was fun trying to get multiple, load multiple stuff on your plane
Mm-hmm.
and pick a route that would get you there on time, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And especially considering it was done just by one dude all by himself. Took it on to just go ahead and do this program. And he worked on it. Next thing he knew, it was like, this is good enough to sell.
Well, I got a notice, I don't know, maybe, 6-8 months ago or so for a new update.
Really? I haven't
Yeah.
even launched it in a while. I certainly haven't checked out the beta tester forums.
Well, I got a notice from, what is that, J something Pilot Sim, or
Pilot, yeah, what the hell was that? The company that sold it there, that website? They
yeah,
also
something
had the
like
train
that.
sims.
J
Remember that?
Pilot Sim, or I don't know, something like that.
You remember that they also, it's the same company that makes all those train simulators, or at least that sells them. Anyway, guys, we're less than 20 miles out. I am going to go ahead and drop this bird down to 4,000 feet, start looking for this airport. I'm going to swing out to the left here a few degrees. And bam. Dropping her down. Like I said, with the sun glaring where it is, it's going to be a little difficult to spot that airport, but we got this. Beware of your altitude. We are much higher elevation than it looks. The ground around here is close to 1,500 feet above sea level, so beware. See, right now I'm about 4,500 feet, but I'm really only 3,000 above the ground. I know you guys are all aware of that. I'm just trying to build tension.
I was thinking of, trying to recall the name of that movie where they intentionally altered the elevation signal or something.
Oh, so the planes would crash?
Yeah, what was that? It was Bruce
doesn't ring a
Willis.
bell.
I heard.
Yeah, Die Hard 2, I think it was. Or was it Die Hard 1 or?
Might have been one of the other ones, yeah. It's not the original.
Yeah, Die Hard 2, the one where they took over the airport.
I think there was Die Hard too. I'm not sure though. And what we're coming in at, what?
Runway 32, buddy.
3-2, Roger.
Andy Flatter says I just watched bits of Die Hard 2 yesterday. Goofy. Small world, huh? It's just the universe syncing up with itself. A little synchronicity happening here. Alright, we're not too awful far, actually. Let's see here. Yeah, we're about 9 miles out, so keep your eyes peeled. It's not going to be long. I'm going to have my nighttime textures loading in.
Yeah, I've already got the sunset.
Real pretty.
Yeah.
Really like those peach colors. And it's going to be hard to see.
Yeah, and in 2020, the airports would kind of pop in.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
This I don't see anything over there.
Yeah, but it won't just like all of a sudden you're close enough for the whole runway to just pop in out of nowhere. It's if you're looking in the right place, it's there a long ways away. I'm about ready to turn final here for runway 32. Give it a few more miles. I think I see where the runway is going to be. Probably hope if I start slowing down a little, huh? Lazerbolt is turning final, runway 32.
Yeah, I see wingnut too going there.
I can't see you anymore, Laser, but hope we don't collide with you.
I can see you on the radar, but it looks like we're doing just fine.
I think I sort of see it out there in the distance.
Yeah, I just got a big sun glare, but I think we got it. I'm heading the right direction, and we're pointing the right way. What more could you ask for? Actually, I kind of think that might be it right there. I'm going to follow you in, Wingnut.
Oh, okay. You behind me?
I'm slightly above you, and I'm going to bring in... Oh, yeah, I see the runway now. No problem. Yep, going to swing in right behind you, buddy.
See it too. Not for the want of getting eye strain, though, that's for sure.
They don't have no lights on the runway. I can barely see it.
It's not quite that dark yet for me. I can see it pretty good. I would have seen it a long time ago if it wasn't for that sun in the way.
Oh boy, this is going to be interesting.
Having trouble getting my eyes on it.
Yeah.
Right behind you, Laser, so you better be getting there good.
Right on, buddy. I'm right on target. Just follow me. I'm going to be dropping my speed down to about 90.
Okay, I'm down. All's good. Universe is back to normal.
Excellent. Right on, Coast. Came in right behind me, like a train.
You know, I went out to my right a little bit too.
Yeah, you kept a nice spacing there. That was beautiful. Well, there's a couple houses down here and stuff, but there's not much going on at this airport, is there? I got some aircraft.
It looks like they're putting in new grass here.
I wonder what these people are having for dinner. Well, I guess they weren't wrong about Valente. There's not much going on here. Maybe this house is the entire town. Actually, just over the horizon there, I did see it was a decent-sized town.
All right, Coach. Don't run over those guys.
I know, they're standing in front of me like I'm going to go someplace here.
Split horse. Are you gonna take the airplane through the woods, or?
I wasn't planning on it, but I don't know. It seemed like it got stuck, and I goosed it. I see an airplane stuck up in the sky. It's not one of ours. It's just one of the static ones.
Oh, right. I don't see nothing like that. Did you ever grab that world update last week for Brazil?
I did.
Excellent, because that does fix a lot of that kind of elevation issues. Hey, I got a neat little helicopter over here. I think it's a Bell of some kind.
You're walking right underneath the plane that's up in the air. So how do you get out of your plane and walk around?
Well, for me, I mapped it to my Xbox controller.
You open the door and you get out. Never mind.
Yeah, the new way. Yeah, I picked up my Xbox controller and turned it on, and then I mapped a button to that if I press that, I get in and out of my aircraft. And then I use the controller to walk around instead of my HOTAS.
Or if you have 2020 keyboard selected, I think it. Well, for me, it's Shift C will put you outside.
You know, this helicopter over here has a fancy camera system on the bottom, some kind of a infrared FLIR. Very strange. There's no marking on this helicopter either. It doesn't even have a tail number.
Oh, that's weird. It won't let me open the frickin' door. Open the door!
You don't need to open the door, just get out. There's a button that you can map to exit your airplane.
You try Shift C.
Ah, that's it. Thank you. Now, where's my gas can so I can light everything on fire?
Now you're talking like Travis, playing GTA.
I know. That's what I meant to do.
And he's always like, what? What are you talking? I'm not doing anything, you know, all innocent. And it's like, dude, you're standing on the hood of my car pouring gas on it. You know, this is making me nervous, believe it or not. Oh, I'm not doing nothing. Relax. Like, yeah, Travis, I know you.
Boom!
Hey, Split Horse, nice green coat.
Dang, you can even kneel down?
Yeah, they got all the standard first-person shooter controls. There's no shoot button and there's no jump button, but you can crouch.
Try C on your keyboard. That makes mine crouch.
There you go. I saw you crouch. And you can even change the look of what your avatar looks like, but I think you need to do that before you actually enter the game. You know what I mean? Like when there's some kind of a customized avatar thing before you even get into playing.
I can't select any weapons.
Come over here and siphon gas
Yeah,
out
right
of the
on.
coast airplane.
Got my man Coast over here checking out his airplane, looking sharp.
I like my hat, huh?
So we're just on the other side of where these airplanes are. It's funny, I see Coast parked on top of a different aircraft. They look like they've been crashed.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They're interconnected here.
Yep, but I bet you in his universe there is no airplane there. It's kind of random.
Yep,
Yeah.
not there.
Neither are those two guys that maybe you run over, or are you parked on top of them guys?
No, they're just standing out there looking at my airplane for some crazy reason.
Okay.
Well, everybody watching, I hope you enjoyed the flight on this Friday. We always have a good old time around here, and if you would like to join us, please do. The information is in the description of the video. It's easy to get a hold of us and to join and to pop the flight plan into your GPS. And you can get the game itself off of GamePass. That's a great way to do it. So anyway, we had a real good time tonight. I hope you enjoyed watching, and we will see you guys next time. Good night now.